The Hangover movie review. So this is another one of my scripted movie review series in which I go through a movie review I wrote years ago on the weblog and try and make a YouTube video out of it for whatever that may or may not be worth. This is The Hangover, which came out in 2009. It's another movie I didn't get around to seeing when it first came out because I was stuck in Japan and it got a delayed release in Japan. So I saw it back when I was in the States in 2010, and by the time I got around to seeing it, it had garnered a lot of praise. A lot of critics had praised it. Word of mouth, people I knew told me it was really, really funny. People on YouTube have been making videos praising it and saying it was one of the best movies of the year. The Rotten Tomatoes score was pretty good. It got a 78% fresh rating on Rotten Tomatoes. So I thought this was going to be the funniest thing ever, and I rented it and I was disappointed. And that probably was because my expectations were too high. That's the problem with building up real high expectations, especially with comedies, because comedies work best when they kind of take you by surprise. If you go in expecting something to be too funny, then it's bound to disappoint. Now, it wasn't terrible. It was fine as your typical run-of-the-mill teen comedy. And I say teen comedy in the sense of a movie aimed at the teenage demographic. It's not about teenagers, it's about 30-year-old men who are acting like teenagers with money. But I think it's safe to say that it's aimed at the teenage market. They're expecting teenagers are the ones who are going to buy movie tickets for this. It did have its moments. I don't want to say it was terrible. I rarely found myself laughing aloud, but I mean, when do you ever laugh aloud, huh? Especially when you're by yourself watching a movie. I was amused for much of it. It was enough to keep me sitting there the whole time. There's not that much more to say. Except, that Asian American character they had there. This may sound like I'm being overly politically correct, but I'm just going to go ahead and say it anyways. I think there's a bad trend in American cinema where Asians are the last minority that is still okay to treat like buffoons and to make fun of. And I think this is a classic example here. And the actor as well, King Jong, hopefully I'm pronouncing that somewhat close, who's, I think, since gone on to work in Community. But this was before he was famous for his work in Community. He's an American-born actor. He grew up in America, and they've got him doing this ridiculous, fake, over-the-top Asian accent. And I just felt bad for the actor. I mean, I'm sure he's happy for the work, but yeah, I mean, is this what it's come to now? That Asian American actors have to put on this ridiculous fake accent to get work in Hollywood? At least some of the time, apparently. That seems to be true. So I didn't like that aspect of it. Everything else I felt was fine. Not the greatest movie ever, but fine.